All right. Lara, I think we are the only thing standing in between all our guests and viewers' cocktails at around 5 o'clock today for happy hour. So we're going to have to rock this if that's okay with you.
Hey, that sounds great. I am on the West Coast, but so it's not quite happy hour my time, but that's great. I celebrate people on the East Coast.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's right. We will usher folks into that 5 o'clock.
Well, Happy New Year to you. I have been looking forward to this session and a great 2022 kickoff. So welcome. I hope you had a great break. You had some fun, I hope.
Definitely did some skiing
nice.
and nice. Hopefully you had a good break too.
Yeah, it was a nice little staycation, but nice quiet time. But before we jump in, I think our audience would love to learn a little bit about the personal side of Lara. I understand you live in the Bay Area, right?
I do.
UW grad, and as you told me, it is the Huskies, which I did know, but I didn't really know that they were referred to as the Dogs also, so that was my bad.
Well, they are. So I went to University of Washington for undergrad and Northwestern for graduate school, but they are, they're UW, it's the Huskies, but we also refer to as Dogs, DAWGS, which is where I think
that's where I thought it was Georgia. So my
yes, all good. All good.
But a marathon runner too, so you're clearly a good athlete.
It's been a while. It has been a while, but yes, I am still running, not marathons, but I better.
Excellent. And of course, the CMO. And today we're really going to talk about your marketing philosophy, brand reputation, partnerships, corporate social responsibility, and more, all through the Intuit lens. And if there was one central theme that came to my mind as I was prepping, it was this sense of customer devotion, customer obsession, customer centricity with this underlying theme of empathy also. And I do want to unpack all of that because I thought it was very differentiating. So if you're ready, you ready to jump in?
Yeah, I'm all ready.
Let's get at it. So CNBC's Jim Cramer said, Intuit may have a monster 2022 coming off of a great year in 2021. So congrats. And just as context, your stock performance was awesome. You made a big acquisition in Mailchimp, which we'll discuss, and announced a landmark community relations partnership agreement at the Intuit Dome. As you look back on 2021, just a little reflection before we move on to 2022. Were you pleased with your overall accomplishments?
Oh yeah, we're here to serve our customers, and I don't just say that to say that because that's the right thing to say. We really are about A, we always put our employees first, and B, then we're about providing what our customers need and solving their biggest problems. All in the pursuit of our mission, which is to power prosperity around the world. And, we have had phenomenal success in our stock price. We've had revenue gains, all because of servicing our customers and putting our employees first. So am I pleased with doing the Mailchimp acquisition? Absolutely. Before that, we did the acquisition of Credit Karma.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the Intuit Dome announcement. Those are just three things that we recently had big announcements around. And again, they're all in service to supporting our customers and the community around us.
So you mentioned your mission of powering prosperity around the world. Certainly that is a big, big idea and a very weighty concept. How is that infused in strategy, day-to-day activity, marketing execution, because it is a very big, bold, weighty statement?
Yeah, well, and look, we've all been talking a lot about purpose-driven marketing and how, and it's true, if you are not rooted in, hey, why are you here? What is your North Star? Your customers are going to see through that. We've said that, but that's become more true than ever in a tech-driven, socially driven world, a world where we're seeing, a continued pandemic, and there's a lot of stress on people. Powering prosperity around the world has always been for us, our mission and why we're here. We always remind ourselves in every company meeting, we always harken back to it, and it's always a filter for decision making. So with that, we do serve a variety of customers, from consumers to small business owners, to self-employed people who want to do something in their own, which is really important in a gig economy driven world, as well as small businesses, people who want to start a small business and then even grow that to a middle market business. So we have quite an array of customers in the Intuit platform of products. And each one of those customer sets has significant problems, financial problems that they're trying to solve. And so our products and services are designed to meet the needs, serve those customer problems, while then also continue to think about how do we serve those who need it most. And so that is our customers, of course. And then there's people in underserved communities, and that is included in how we think about how we go to market and who we support. And so with that, we have community True North goals that are alongside our employee True North goals, alongside our customer True North goals, and our shareholder goals. And those are around job readiness, job creation. So you can be ready for a job, but then you got to have a job to go into. And then, of course, global, supporting our climate, which is in a significant need of us all to pay attention to. And then ultimately, everything we do to support DEI. And, again, that's under the guise of, we believe everyone should have the opportunity to prosper. Everyone, no matter their zip code. So you may be born into an underserved zip code. We want to be able to serve you and support you. And then additionally, it shouldn't matter the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, again, where you're from. We want you to be able to prosper. We believe everyone should have the opportunity to prosper. And again, it's not just through our products and services, but through the good we do to support our communities.
So that purpose-driven marketing, right, was probably particularly important last year or during the pandemic, when so many people were challenged, and funds were stressed on an individual, family, and company level. Give us a little more detail around what job readiness meant, and how you were getting it out to customers and consumers alike, or the prosperity hubs that you were creating.
Yeah.
Because those were tangible ways you were helping people during very challenging times.
Yeah, love the question too, because it allows me to say, like, here are these tangible examples where we walk the talk. We don't just say, hey, here's our grandiose mission, but we don't really do anything about it. So just to pay that off in real terms, with COVID-19, we all lived that. And if those of us who were in a company, it's like, wow, we're really not going back. And then in our world, where we have consumers who lost their jobs and, they've got a tax bill they need to pay. We had small businesses who couldn't make their payroll, and then people who didn't really know, what do I qualify for when the CARES Act came out? We came out and said, we will live by our mission. And through that, we ultimately took what was coming through the government and made it so easy for our customers to leverage. So with TurboTax, we were able to, through TurboTax, give people stimulus funds, their stimulus funds. Through QuickBooks, we were able to provide the PPP funding that was available for payroll through the CARES Act. And then with Intuit writ large, we had something called Intuit Aid Assist that used the power of our AI, what we call knowledge engineering, where we were able to take 300 pages of the CARE Act, allow you to fill out a couple form fields going online for free, and understand, hey, based on my profile, what am I eligible for when it comes to the CARES Act? Fast forward then to today, what's so interesting about this pandemic is there are tailwinds and there are headwinds to it, right? So with this pandemic, we've seen some tailwinds for those of us who have always been living in a digital space, because now you have to be able to succeed in a virtual digital space. And so in the regard of just thinking about people who now are thinking, okay, I'm going to bring my business online, or I'm going to start a small business, having this ability to do all of your business in one place, from stand up a business to ultimately, market it and know how to do your books. That's all now available, today. And for people who are starting small businesses. In fact, with the pandemic, this year we expect there will be more than 17 million small businesses starting in 2022 alone. So I say that just to give context on the pandemic being something that affected how we ultimately supported our mission and how we're continuing to keep supporting certain customer bases. Fast forward though, that continues, but we've always said, in the regard of job readiness, to answer your question, empowering prosperity around the world, one thing that is very unique for us is we do have a platform of multiple products: QuickBooks, TurboTax, Mint, Credit Karma, and now Mailchimp. Right. And we can serve an array of your needs. Job readiness includes being versed in today's skills. You think about when you and I went to school, you got lessons in class on how do you do your finances? How do you do your taxes? That doesn't happen anymore. And so through our products, we can go into underserved schools and teach them very, very important skills that they don't get now, that we used to get. And then additionally, on top of that, teach them things like our proprietary Design for Delight thinking, which is using design thinking, and energize these underserved, what we call prosperity hubs. And we have prosperity hub school districts across the country, where we help kids get educated and inspire them to go off and get great jobs. Then with that, through the Prosperity Hub program, we also have what we call Prosperity Hub Success Center job opportunities. So you can go into a job where you can be a customer success agent and service our customers. And you can do that from an underserved zip code. And so that is our Prosperity Hub program. That existed before the pandemic and then continues. So you can see where it's also helpful if your mission has been true, your purpose has been true, and you can use that as an anchor as you deal with crises. And so having that has been a terrific bonus for us in terms of, always being core to our DNA.
And you mentioned, your various brands and your portfolio companies, but you do define them around as a platform company. What does that mean, a platform company?
Yeah. So, a platform, you can Google it right now. Yeah. For those of you watching, usually a platform, there's a network effect. It's a two-sided network. The more people you add, the more benefits you get, and there's a flywheel effect. So, great examples of platform companies, Amazon would be one. Yep. We do have that. We have, again, an array of customers. Over 100 million customers live on our platform, use our products, our product portfolio, if you will. And by us having their information, and holding that very securely, very, very securely with consent, we can better serve their needs using AI and ML. So we say we are an AI-driven expert platform, and it allows us to have you go in, and if you're going to do your taxes, it's quick, it's easy, there's less friction, right? If you're going to start a small business, now taking your purchase data from, taking your end-to-end data from QuickBooks, where we have, your books, and then Mailchimp, where you can actually start online, you can create a website, you can start to sell, you can market. All of that is this platform, this network effect that we can serve you end to end, right? Credit Karma, when we looked at our consumer business, we realized, so with TurboTax, we're serving their tax needs, making sure they get as much of that refund as they deserve. To Mint, where we're helping you understand, how are you looking from a financial standpoint, and can you see all your banking relationships in one place? That's what Mint allows you to do, is a wonderful personal finance app. And now Credit Karma, where you can see your credit score and you can ultimately get the best loans possible for whatever you need to support, invest in for your life and to better serve your financial needs. That's really what a platform allows you to do. And frankly, again, to allow us to power prosperity around the world. It always goes back to that.
No, it's a great illustration. And, to further illustrate it, because clearly you're providing a role where you're helping people's most important financial decisions, whether in business or in personal.
That's
But
right.
the year has started off strong already for you with launching 2 new campaigns, one for QuickBooks and one for TurboTax. And the QuickBooks really focuses on those 17 million small businesses that hopefully will emerge this year, and hopefully it's more than 17 million and the economy continues to grow, which would be fantastic. So tell us a little bit about those 2 campaigns. I think one will also be in the big game coming up in February. So give us a little context about the creative, measurement behind it, your expectations.
Yeah. So, so we do have, we're in peak season. When you think about where we are doing your taxes and how people mentally think about it, and you always want to be linking to consumer behavior. As marketers, we know that. And so I'll just, start with TurboTax. The insight there, and when we think about that with consumer trends, people are at home still. And even when they weren't, we were realizing, gosh, people don't want to necessarily drive somewhere to go meet with a CPA, and they want to be able to go online and have a fantastic tax experience. And nobody looks forward to doing their taxes. Actually, some people actually do, because they like to know where their money stands.
And if you anticipate a big refund.
Yeah, right. No, and it is. And we need to be really clear here. This is often the biggest paycheck of the year that some folks are getting. And man, it's a critical experience and a critical milestone in their year. And that is not lost on us. With that though, and in this move to a virtual environment, we were there before, but you often need help. You often need help with your taxes. As great as our software is, it's helpful to get support. And so we have offered a virtual expert vis-a-vis being online still, and that person can help you as little as or as much as you need it. And that's an offering. And so we want to remind folks that that is a offering we have. And again, we're here to support your financial problems. And so that TurboTax campaign and market really brings that to life in a fun way, with kudos to Wyden and Kennedy and so many teams and the great TurboTax consumer group marketing team and comms team that works on that. With QuickBooks, to your point, we're going to see, we believe, at least 17 million folks start small businesses this year. It has, and that doesn't even include, like, we have gig workers, we have self-employed people who are, they want to be bold, they want to go out and live the life they want to live in, and not have to worry about the back end of what they have to do to succeed. And so what effectively the QuickBooks campaign does is says, it captures this really great insight that often these small business owners, they got into selling shoes because they love shoes. They're a sneakerhead. but
Yep.
they don't know anything about how to do books, how to start a business, how to market. And we can really be the source of truth for their business, end to end, from doing their books to helping them on the front end, as I mentioned. And by the way, it's QuickBooks and Mailchimp together that help bring that to life. And the idea that we know you, we get you, we're here to help, and even do something like payroll for you is depicted in the QuickBooks campaign. And as has been noted, we will do spots for both QuickBooks and TurboTax in the Super Bowl.
Awesome. So how is, we've had the pleasure with working some of your brands on the advertising side. How is data influencing your decision-making, both in terms of reaching your strategic audiences, and clearly in the television business now, there's a whole discussion around measurement, proper measurement, Nielsen, currency discussions, alternative currencies. Give us a little POV you have there. And certainly we understand the importance of the Super Bowl with tax timing as well.
Yeah, so let me first say we're always customer back. And data aids and abets us to be obsessed with our customers and support them. So where we as marketers, I think, go sideways is when we start talking about data for data's sake, or even crypto for crypto's sake. Those are hows to a what. And for us, absolutely though, data is critical. We like to say, when we're looking at anything we do, whether it's a campaign or product work, or how we think about anything within the range of activities we take, at the end of the day, we like to see facts per second is the phrase, so we know that it's the right thing to do from a quantitative perspective.
Yep.
As you might imagine, we have a myriad of ways we're looking at the data performance of our marketing, from in-product experience to the bottom of the funnel all the way to the top of the funnel, metrics across. But the important thing for us is, on the aggregate, then what uber outcomes are we driving? And so ultimately, what is our customer count, revenue, our average revenue per customer? And interesting, another metric that we're now tracking is reputation. I've said a couple of times in previous discussions that chief marketing officers are often chief reputation officers. And as head of marketing and comms for the company, I have to think about, not only are we driving the business to meet our customer needs, but how are we doing from a reputation standpoint? And one thing I'm very proud of that the team has done is looked at reputation and quantitatively defined, with a company called RepTrack, what dimensions drive reputation for Intuit and our category, and quantitatively, how are we doing on those, and how do we move them? Because it's been determined that a percentage point in increase in your reputation actually is correlated with a stock price increase. And so that's yet another success outcome that we are measuring and determining by dimension quantitatively, where do we stand. So we just have, you're looking at all of these metrics on a business level by business unit, the units I mentioned, but then also on the aggregate, is that accumulating to a total revenue picture, a total growth picture, and a total reputation score that we can feel really proud of, our employees can feel really proud of, our shareholders can feel proud of. That's really what this is about.
It's really interesting from a CMO seat, how many stakeholders you need to serve. And you just mentioned, 4, and I'm sure right there, 4 big ones. And clearly there are more, but it is a lot of responsibility in very different arenas. And it must be challenging to balance all that, let alone the C-suite.
Yeah, So, clearly, and look, the best marketers and communicators are always customer back, audience first, use the language you want. So, we are very thoughtful about which audience is this appropriate for, which cohort, in today's world, and one of the things when I started at the company, I realized we had to up our game dramatically in our MarTech, to get even personalized one-to-one is really the goal, as personalized as you can get, which is then you're taking it down to N of one. But that's part of our jobs. It's what makes it hard. It's what makes it fun. It's what makes it exciting. And so we try to practice the discipline of which customer audience, which stakeholder, which, is it shareholder, employee, community, customer, all of that calculus is in play.
And, do you make an interesting parallel? Because we compete in the ad tech space and media space to some degree.
Yeah.
And you talked about the MarTech space. Is there one or two platforms that are central to your marketing technology solutions and stack?
We have a best in breed approach. And the big headline for us has been, one of the things of the power of a platform is to have a single platform, and where appropriate, have the same approach using the same vendors. But then where you need to be flexible, you need to be flexible, and you might stand up a vendor for a certain area of the business that needs something specific to, and making it up, alerts, what have you. So I'm not going to name any companies and single them out there. They know who they are. They're very important and critical to us, but we've tried to standardize where it makes sense and to drive synergy, scale, efficiencies, and then leave some flexibility when we have a part of the business, again, that I mentioned that needs that. What you don't want to do in today's tech-driven world that we're very cognizant of, and this is such a problem with our technology organization, is you don't want to get in a situation where you've got redundancy in code and you're adding a coordination tax and a business tax when you haven't streamlined and you haven't set up yourself for success to be able to use the power of AI and ML. And so you want to make sure that infrastructure set up. By the way, it's some of the least sexy stuff, but it is some of the most important to be able to harness the power of the data, like we talked about earlier, and not lose velocity and speed, which you need to have as a company today.
So let's transition to M&A for a second. So probably end of 2020, I think you acquired Credit Karma in the financial services landscape. And in the past year, and more recently, was Mailchimp, which we use here at Cadent. And clearly, Mailchimp plays a very important role in you expanding your presence to small businesses, where you have a major presence already. Tell us how Mailchimp helps you get deeper, provide more solutions, and sort of the role you see it playing in the future.
Yeah, well, you can imagine when you take your purchase data with your books data and you bring those together, how powerful that is. We with QuickBooks kind of start the book side, the accounting side of the business. And when you add something like Mailchimp, it allows you to do the end-to-end. Like I said, you're able to, conceive of the business, start it, stand it up online, and then, market it, put a website out there, do e-commerce, all of that, along with then doing payroll, taking payments, ultimately doing your taxes for your small business. That is now all in one place with these two companies coming together, these two entities, I should say, and within the Intuit platform.
And I know you talk a lot about customer obsession, but you use an interesting word, and that's empathy.
Yeah.
And does that really mean, or tell me what it means, but walking a mile in your customer's shoes with true understanding and authenticity?
Yeah, it does. And let me give you a little window into this. I think, we have a secret sauce in how we do what we call design for delight and customer driven innovation, which is fueled by design for delight. And design for delight is taking the kind of best of design thinking and fueled by empathy and ethnography, understanding and really relating to our customer problems. We often say we fall in love with our customer problems, but not the solutions. Because if you start, if you're following around the solution, you haven't really thought, what are you solving for? So that is done. And pre-pandemic, we would do what we call follow me homes. And we would go and physically go into a customer's home, a current or prospective customer, and just see how they're living their lives and how they're interacting with our products. And where are they getting stuck? Where do they go off maybe to another platform or do a Google search? Just really watching. And then from there, we ideate, we go broad to go back narrow again, and then build the solution. And so design for delight thinking and the empathy to the customer, the human, the person on the other side is what our products are rooted in, the design of our products, and our advertising and our go-to-market approach, because it is through that work we often get our best insights on what our customers are struggling with that often become, what is the insight that then ultimately ends up in a creative brief and a go-to-market approach.
And would you give that part of the inspiration or the credit for the emotional connections that you do make through your advertising and marketing communication?
Absolutely. I mean, because the other thing that you're doing when you have that as a significant underpinning to all the work you do, you're just building in an empathy. No matter what you're doing, I apply it into our employees. I want, and we put our employees first. We're so maniacal about it, but if I'm doing an employee touch base, or anybody in our company, we would try to say, hey, how are you doing today? Start every touch like that, knowing we want people to bring their authentic selves to work.
I have to start doing that more.
Well, it's just, and it's, by the way, it's super easy to forget to do it. You're trying to move quickly. You're on Zoom now all day, but
yeah,
asking, how are you? And not just, hearing that, but truly listening and understanding that empathy, that, hey, I'm not making assumptions on what happened before we got on this call or what's going on in your personal life. It's really important.
I'm a sports fan, basketball fan, really took an interest in what you're doing with the LA Clippers and the Intuit Dome. Tell me what it means to the team, Intuit, and probably equally or even more importantly, in the area and the community in Inglewood.
Yeah, well, and you're just bringing up right now part of the main reason, one of the many, but a key reason we did this partnership. So we stepped back and said, we have such, good we can do that is rooted in what we're doing. And we were looking at partnerships, and the Los Angeles Clippers, we started discussing this with them, and what that presented was a unique opportunity to get with a like partner who was they're fan obsessed, we're customer obsessed. They're very tech forward. Their innovation drives their fan experience, and the Intuit Dome is going to be incredible. What the plans are there. Steve Ballmer is the owner, as most folks know, and his Microsoft background just fuels that tech innovation for the sake of supporting fans. We are very innovative and a tech forward company in that way. And then the just desire to support the community. Inglewood has been historically an underserved community around in Los Angeles and Southern California, and our hope to bring, and we already are, our Prosperity Hub program that I mentioned earlier into Inglewood, support that community, give them jobs, support them starting small businesses. That is all part of Intuit Dome. You know, do we get our name on an important part of important real estate? We do, but it's far bigger than that. The cool opportunity with this partnership too is we get to showcase all of our brands. All the brands I mentioned will be highlighted 365 days a year.
And what's kind of interesting is, across town, you have crypto.com now, with the Lakers. So it's a very interesting changing landscape in the sports marketplace, just from a macro sports marketplace view of things. But live sports has played an important role in your media investments. And live seems to be increasingly important to you. Love to get a little thoughts just on that and how you extend that to CTV as well.
Yeah, well, full stop. I mean, there's a reason you see brands showing up in sports. Live viewing is part of what we crave, especially I would argue today when we're looking for connection, and there's no better place to get that in a live sports venue. To your point, and NBA, huge fan base worldwide, so that's incredibly compelling. To your point, we have a partnership with the NFL, so we have our playoffs partnership. So we're heading into that period now, and you'll see our brands, all of our brands stood up during that time. You bet, some exciting matchups for sure. And that is part of our thinking when we think about where are the eyeballs, where are people ingesting and consuming. Take that to same thing, NBA, we have partnership now with Intuit Dome, of course. But we have a business in Canada, so we have a Raptors partnership, and we also have Credit Karma having a Houston Rockets partnership. So sports, entertainment, which entertainment will also be at Intuit Dome, anything where you get that connection. The magic for me is rational and emotional coming together. That's for me where marketers and communicators just do their best work, is when those two things come together, and sports does that.
So we're probably coming into the last round of questions here as we get to our finale here, but I thought maybe giving it some advice to the young marketers out there. You talk a lot about find your superpower or your unique differentiation. What does that mean to somebody, coming into the business? How should they approach that?
Yeah. Well, look, self-awareness is key to your life in general. I would argue if you've had great bosses or mentors, you want to ask them, what do you think I'm really good at, and where do I need to work? So just self-awareness is always going to be a good thing. But I tell people, and I believe this, like, I don't care if your superpower is you're the smartest person in the room from an IQ standpoint. What I truly believe is that, grit, resilience, tenacity is what separates the wheat from the chaff. It's that, and then the hard work that often comes with that. My history of graduating from University of Washington, and then graduating from Kellogg Business School, in both times I graduated into a recession, and school's not cheap. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I just spent this money. What is this? And you gotta take it in your own hands and be smart about how do you get that experience. And for me, coming out of undergrad, I volunteered my time at Pike Place Market in Seattle, where they didn't have any tourists coming in anymore. And I started marketing, and I did this free of charge to the local resident base to get them in. And that's how I really got into marketing. And so grit, resilience, standing up when you fall down, all of those things are going to differentiate you and make you somebody people want to hire and work with.
So it's great. You've worked at iconic brands, Visa, Nike, Gap, obviously Intuit now, but it all started at Pike Place, which is a good sort of, success story that you got to start out and make a name for yourself and make things happen, right? So, I think what you showed us today, which was, very enlightening, is Intuit and your activities as a company that clearly performs and does very well from a business standpoint. But you're contributing, in a huge way to giving something back and doing well for the greater good. And I'd say for that, you should be commended and congratulated through your unique brand of awareness, corporate responsibility, reputation, DEI. There's a magic sauce there that seems to be really working. And, I congratulate you for a job well done.